Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood-Austin. Welcome back.
I'm super excited about this episode. There's been a lot of cool stuff going on in our nation and in our world and in our community that's really interesting, and I have a hot topic that I want to discuss at least a little on today's program. Okay, here goes. Over the weekend,
let's dive right in.
Yes, as we move into the graduation season, there have been several commencement addresses already around the nation, and one hot topic has drawn boos over and over and over again.
Yep.
And that is artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So I wanted to figure out what's going on, what's doing. And in the last 2 weeks, we've seen 3 commencement addresses. One was at the University of Arizona. That was former Google CEO Eric Schmidt. Booed Saturday. Bad. Booed. And he didn't really read the room and kept going and doubled down on it.
Oof.
Oh, yeah, bad. Also, the University of Florida had one 2 weeks ago, and Middle Tennessee had another one. It was a music executive talking about how AI was changing the way music's produced. Boos all the way around.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know why that is. Why is there such trepidation? So I did a little research.
Okay. I can't wait because I have some thoughts.
Okay, tell me your thoughts, and I'll tell you if it corresponds with the research.
Go.
Well, 51% of Gen Zers, that's the age group that's currently in college, right?
Yeah.
51% of Gen Zers report that they use AI regularly.
Yeah.
Although many of that group is uneasy about artificial intelligence, and most people would say, well, it's because they're afraid jobs are going to be taken, and other people will say, well, there's an environmental impact, and they're upset about that. Others would say too many natural resources are being used for this. The truth doesn't bear that out.
Okay, tell me what you mean.
Well, I looked at a Gallup poll.
I'm so excited we're getting into this.
Yeah.
I got some thoughts.
I looked at a Gallup poll of Gen Zers who were asked about AI. And a large portion of Gen Zers are anxious about it, and another large portion are downright angry about it. But here's what's interesting. The people who are anxious about AI and who are angry about AI are in the category of self-reporting never having used AI. They're people that haven't even given it a shot. Meanwhile, the large group of people that say they use it on a daily basis, 68% of those people, 69, are excited about AI. Another 44% are curious. Very small numbers in the regular users that are angry or anxious about AI. So what it's telling me is, this is just from reading one Gallup poll, people who are ready to use AI to their benefit are excited about it and are curious about it. People who don't want to learn something new are afraid of it and think their jobs are going to get stolen. And you and I have talked about on this program that no, AI is not going to take your job. Someone who uses AI is going to take your job. And that's what the numbers show. People who don't use AI are pissed off about it and they feel like they're getting ripped off. You can't solve that problem. Okay, what are your thoughts? I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. There's a lot of fear-mongering, I think.
Okay, tell me more.
About what, for example, the data centers that are being built across the country, close to waterways, what their impact on the environment. Okay, of course they'll impact the environment. If you build something it has an impact.
Everything impacts
That's
the
what I'm
environment.
saying.
Yes.
That's what I just said.
Yes.
Everything impact. If I sneeze, it impacts the environment.
That's exactly right.
Every single thing. So I think that there is a lot of fear-mongering around it.
Okay.
Should we be concerned about the environment? Well, yes and no is my thought, right? Because are we going to run out of water? I don't know. On a planet that's, 70% water?
78%.
Let's just be like stupid logical about this, right? And I say I should call it maybe ignorant logical.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of ignorant.
Okay.
But I got critical thinking skills.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just use those without anything else.
Okay.
78% water on the planet. The argument that we're going to run out of water doesn't make sense.
And
Okay.
the vast majority of our bodies is water as well, FYI.
Yeah. So that's one thing.
Sure.
The nature that's being destroyed to build these data centers. Well, I mean, how much vacant or empty or preserved land is there still left?
Okay.
Again, you see what I'm saying by ignorant logic,
Yeah,
right?
and I don't even want to talk about the new United Nations numbers talking about how climate change is inevitable whether or not people use fossil fuels. That's brand new information.
Yeah. So I think it like everything, I would say follow the money trail.
Sure.
Follow the money. So it's interesting to me how outraged some people are about it, to the point that they are willing to damage relationships.
Yeah.
Because, this generation of their family is using AI and this generation is so against it, the Gen Z, right? Kids that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to sanction the relationship because other people in the family are using AI. Like what? Where is the logic? And it may not just be that, but I think that there's a lot of, what's the word that I want to use? I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that a good amount of Gen Z is being radicalized.
Okay.
Without logic.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. And let's point out just who Gen Zers are. Gen Zers were born between 1997 and 2012. So they are ranging in age today from 14 to 29. That's the group of people that makes up Gen Z. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing we are doing is we're generalizing a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And we're basing it on a couple studies. This Gallup poll is just one of the things that we're basing this on. It's interesting to note that out of all of these people who talk about not using AI, the vast majority uses social media. And I have bad news for you. Social media is directed by artificial intelligence, and the algorithm, which knows that outrage creates attention, and attention is the currency in social media, they are getting more and more and more stuff to be outraged about, including AI information. So the AI is feeding them bad AI stuff to make them angry about AI. How do you like that?
And they, for whatever reason, lack the critical thinking skills to realize that's what's happening.
Now,
and I want to say, be mad about AI, okay, but historically speaking, from the beginning of time, you can either adopt new technology or you can about it and get left behind.
Well, and that's exactly what I want to talk about on this episode. I wanted to start with the AI thing, but I wanted to talk about the ramifications just of this simple Gallup poll that is a few weeks old, but is now relevant because of what's been going on over the last few weeks about this AI conversation. And what I've found looking at the data is people who are not early adopters are the ones who are angry. Just like when you say...
It's funny.
Angry old men. You know, you've heard that before.
It's funny.
Angry old men. Well, they're not early adopters. They've seen it, and they don't want to know more about it.
Gen Z's acting like boomers.
That's exactly right. And my question is, why? Why are people digging their heels in and refusing, especially a generation who's only seen lightning fast change in their entire lives? If I were 14 years old right now, I wouldn't know what was up and what was down because the world is so different from the day you were born to today.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
I would be, if I were in that group, excited. I would be the kid who's looking into AI and excited and curious about it. I'd be that
Well, what I
kid.
don't understand is raging against a machine that is already fully at work in every aspect of your life.
That's right. If you are looking at
What are you going to do? Move to, some remote place in the mountain and live off grid? I don't understand.
I got to tell you who's got to feel pretty good about this AI conversation. The Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. He's got to feel really proud of himself right now sitting today in federal prison because he warned against this starting in the 70s. He was furious about how big information was going to take over the world and technology was going to lead to it.
That's interesting that you brought that up because I'm actually concerned that some of the people who are raging against AI are being so deeply and intensely radicalized against not only AI, but anybody who, uses it and that is growing into not only that, but also we should be living this way and doing these things. It's like they're losing. I'm afraid somebody's gonna, go on a mass shooting spree because of it, because they're being so heavily radicalized about it. And then also, like, what happened to letting people live? I'm just so confused. This is the same generation that says, don't label me, don't tell me what to do, don't tell me how to live.
Yet
but I hate you if you use AI.
Well,
and you're bad and
while saying that and pointing their finger, they're using AI because they're on social media and their algorithm is programming their brains.
Right.
And that's artificial intelligence that's running that algorithm.
Right. Well, even in jobs, our jobs and our grocery stores and our gas stations and our everywhere you go and anything you do is influenced by AI. It's just new technology. Everybody take a beat and just relax. I mean, it's like our toddler grandchildren when they're flipping out because I was just with a couple of our grandboys last night and one of them reached over and, bless his heart, he asked his brother if he could have the toy, but then immediately snatched it away. Well, that's not what we do, right? We got to, I love
we share, we wait.
I love that you asked him for it, but we've got to, now there's a process to this. And so we walked through the process and they did great. So I kind of feel like it's the same kind of thing, like they're toddlers screaming and yelling about things that don't make any rational sense at all. And on what grounds?
Right.
I'm so confused. And then I get very overwhelmed by it. And then I go, you know what? Let me just pull all this back to right here. Center right here. Check myself. Am I okay?
Right.
Am I doing okay? And like, I got to refocus on just myself and my circle, my sphere. And
sure.
And I go back to like, it's always appropriate to be kind and kind of those core values because if I focus on this stuff for too long, I start to lose my marbles.
Well, and the reason I wanted to talk about this is because in life and in business, we need to be ever curious and ever learning, because if
Yes.
we do things the way we've always done them, we
Yes.
will go away.
Yes.
We will. So that's what's important to me to take away from this conversation.
Curiosity and flexibility of the mind is so important.
And
it's vital.
And in our businesses, we are primarily real estate and mortgage businesses.
Right.
Those are our two, Sherwood Austin Homes and Sherwood Austin Mortgage.
Proud sponsors of the session.
The
with
fine
Londa
folks
and
at Sherwood
David.
Austin Homes and Sherwood Austin Mortgage would like you to know that the world is always changing, and
Yeah.
it's very dynamic. Interest rates go up and down, just like the price of gasoline right now is going up and down.
Yeah.
One thing we can tell you for sure at Sherwood Austin Homes and Sherwood Austin Mortgage is if you have a need, we want to sit down with you and try to solve your problem.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. What we can't do is focus on the things that we can't change, like the markets. The markets move. They're ever dynamic.
Oh
So
my
we better
gosh.
be moving and shifting with the markets.
Yeah.
Right?
Flexibility is important.
That's right. Just like the kids who are Gen Zers who are using AI daily, they're super excited about it. They're moving with the market. They're curious about it, and they're using it. And very few of that number is scared or angry. Very few. Very few. They're low number anxious, low number angry. But if you never use it,
Right.
you're both scared and you're angry.
Well, my question is, if you're so upset about it, what are you going to do besides being mad at the people who don't agree with you?
Well, I would say get a fast food job, but I can't say that because AI is running the kitchen now. Do you know what I mean? You did not. I did. I would say get a job at Walmart. Oop, wait a minute. AI is stocking the shelves and telling you where to put stuff now. Ooh. What do? You adapt. You move with the world. One of the people that got booed was a female executive
Yeah, I
at the
saw that.
University of Florida, and she actually said AI is as important as the Industrial Revolution. If I were a young person, I'd be pretty excited to be part of another industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Now, here's some things that are bad about the Industrial Revolution. Pollution, bad. Not good. Coal dust, bad.
But for
Just
every
like,
action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
well, sure, but
Didn't
I want
we
to.
learn that?
I'm trying to point out that there are bad things that come with advancement. There are, just like the kids who are saying, "Oh, but these data centers are going to take up a whole lot of land and a whole bunch of resources because they're really big and they're just getting bigger." Wrong. They are really big, but they're just getting smaller because all technology gets smaller.
Yeah,
that's
talk
what
about that for a
happens
minute.
with technology. The very first computer took up an entire building, right? My cell phone's 400 times more powerful than that computer that
Your
took up
watch.
an entire building. That's right.
Cell phone, nothing. The little, 1.5-inch square watch on your wrist.
That's exactly right. So what I'm telling you is we know for sure from history
Yeah.
that technology shrinks.
So it
doesn't
sounds-
get bigger. It gets smaller.
It sounds like you're saying it's going to be okay.
What I'm saying is, I don't know if it's going to be okay, but I don't have time to be worried or anxious.
Ooh.
I need to early adopt. And the reason I need to early adopt is because if I'm sitting there worried about something, I'm not creating positive momentum in my life. I'm having negative entropy happen, not positive momentum. I don't want to slow down and come to a stop. And
Right.
if I'm sitting worried, I've come to a stop. No, thank you. There's no health, social, or spiritual benefit to that. None. No, thank you. No. That's how I feel about that.
That was a very powerful statement. And I think that can be applied in a lot of different ways.
Sure. It's just like the people who are loan officers that are sitting in their office right now, and I know you are there because I know some of you who are going, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? Interest rates have gotten 100 basis points worse." I think to myself, interest rates have gotten 100 basis points worse. I need to start calling customers about buying smaller houses or spending less money. because it's going to be a little more expensive.
Yeah.
So how do I keep the momentum moving forward, not stopping, right? Yep. I'm having conversations I had a conversation with an agent today who was talking about how prices aren't doing great and things are sitting a little longer on the market unless they're priced below the market. And here's something to think about. Maybe we should be talking to customers about pricing their homes below the market so they can move them quicker.
Well, and the reality is, that term below the market isn't really below the market. The market bears what it will bear.
Right.
And if you're a seller, buyers will tell you if you're in an appropriate price point or not, because they will come and see your home and they will make offers. And if the market won't bear the price, then you won't have showings, you won't have offers, you won't have, and a situation like what we're in right now economically will drive prices down. Now, will it drive them down a long ways or significantly, or is it a collapse or any of that kind of thing? I don't think so, but it's definitely affecting the market. And further, if you bought a house in 2022 and you want to sell it today, well, you might not be able to.
Or you might have to take a hit.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'm hearing from customers is, no, I need to make X dollars. Well, I'm sorry, that's not how the world works.
Ain't nobody care what you need to make except you.
Right, that's exactly right.
That's the reality of the housing market. No buyer on earth cares that you got yourself in a position where you, quote, have to make.
Right.
Just pump the brakes, take a beat. It's okay unless you have a dramatic need.
Right. See, that's
to
the
make
thing.
a move. It's okay to just keep sleeping in your big, comfy savings account.
Right. Well, that is one way to look at it.
If you And this is from a realtor. I make my money by buying and selling property, but I will say, like, if you're in that position, maybe right now is not the time to make the move unless you have a really strong need. And the whole, well, I have to make this much, or it's interesting how that shifts as people, get faced with really having to make that decision.
Yes. And, one thing that we talk about with people is I don't know that a dramatic need is a good descriptor. A need, I think, is the best descriptor, because if you have to move for work, you have to move.
Yeah. To me, that's a big need.
If you have to move because you need your kid to be in a specific school area, you have to move.
Right.
So to me, why you need to move is less important than how quickly can we help you do that and what's most important to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I would say that if you have a need, the time is always right today.
Sure.
Buying power may or may not improve in the future. Interest rates may or may not improve in the future. Home values may or may not improve in the future. Historically, they will improve. Historically, over time, they go up. They appreciate. They typically don't depreciate.
And when they have these little dips, like we're seeing in some markets right now, inevitably the interest rate goes up, and so it's a wash.
That's exactly right.
You're paying coming or going.
But,
so if you, again, to your point, that if you have a need right now is the time.
Again, I brought up our client that we have been talking to for over a year now, who said 28 years ago she had an opportunity to buy a small house in Richland for $68,000
and couldn't
but
justify
the interest
it.
rates were too high and she couldn't justify it. And that same size house today, $324,900. I saw one of them today on the MLS.
Yep. And by the way, that's, quote, priced under the market.
And that's 927 square feet or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you're waiting for the time to be perfect.
That was a great example.
It is.
And, it's so sad because 28 years of paying rent.
Right. It's just money gone. It's money gone.
Yeah.
And when I look at selling a house, for my brain to make sense of whether or not I walk away with a big fat gang of cash because I had a big down payment or I don't, is I consider how much it cost me to live in that house. Well, if I walk away with any money in my pocket, it didn't cost me much. If I walk away having to write a check, I'm a little upset about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you say that again explain it in a different way? Say it again differently.
Okay. If I bought a house in 2012.
Because I know what you mean, but I think it's...
If I bought a house in 2012, no matter what's happening with the market today, that house from 2012 is worth no less than $150,000 more than it was in 2012 when I bought it. That is a fact. That is a fact in this market today. In 2019, we saw $150,000 worth of appreciation from 2019 to today. However, we've seen some come back. But 6 years earlier, or 7 years earlier in 2012, that appreciation's still there. That stands. So I need to not be concerned with what my neighbor sold his house for 8 months ago, because I never had that appreciation because I still stayed in the house.
Yeah.
So I may not get as big of a check at the end as my neighbor did who sold it 8 months ago, because the market is slowing a little bit because of the...
It's just different. I don't know if it's even slowing. It's just a different market today than it was 8 months ago, 6 months ago, 4 months ago.
Perceived value is down. Yeah. Actual value, we don't know yet. We haven't had enough time to study it, but perceived value is down. The truth is, though, a 2012 house is worth easy $150,000 more today than it was when you bought it in 2012. I think that's a pretty nice upside.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's a nice upside. You can't be upset because if you'd have sold it 8 months ago, you might have made $200,000 because you didn't sell it 8 months ago.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, well, yeah, it all made sense to me.
So if you have a need, don't sleep on it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a want, you might want to sleep on it.
Yeah.
You might think, I kind of want a new hot tub, but I don't want to take out a second on my house to get it.
Yeah.
You may take a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But a need, we have the people to help you at Sherwood Austin Homes and Sherwood Austin Mortgage if you have a need. And there are wonderful problem solvers all throughout our community in real estate and lending, all over. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's my soapbox about that.
Yeah.
But what I really wanted to say is, on this podcast, and this is historically accurate and this is new information accurate, if you don't have an open mind, you will live in fear with anxiety, and that will cause anger. Let me say that one more time. If you don't have an open mind, it will cause anxiety, fear, and anger. Just like that little old man who has less testosterone and now he's angry and he's mad at the world and yelling at his TV. Well, if you're 19 years old and you're booing the thought of artificial intelligence being a thing, you're just like that old guy scared and yelling at the TV. Stop it. Stop it. There you go. That's what I wanted to say about that.
Yeah.
And there's no upside. There's no upside to closing off
mentally, physically, intellectually, spiritually. There's no upside.
That's right.
Zero. Now, we welcome diversity of thought.
Sure.
We love differing opinions and talking about things. And thank goodness we live in a free country where you can boo at a commencement speech. Rude as it is.
Let me tell you, at my graduation, I wanted to boo because the commencement speaker who came in talked about the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. He was brought in to be the commencement speaker. And the president of my university got up and used the same quote and shit all over what the other guy said.
Oh, interesting.
I think he might have been drunk. God rest his soul. But whatever the case, he contradicted the paid commencement speaker's address. I don't understand that. That could have been a cause for boo. No one booed. No one booed. And I think it's interesting that people have such strong feelings that they're booing commencement speakers, right?
Well,
Jerry
and that
Seinfeld famously was booed last year because of his pro-Israel stance.
Well,
interestingly enough, he's Jewish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Booed because he had a pro-Israel stance. They assumed because he's Jewish, he did at least.
That's the thing, back to the graduation thing. That's a whole other thing about just manners and social conduct and all of that, right? The fact that they felt justified to, boo their commencement speaker blows me away.
Well, Eric Schmidt was controversial to begin with because he's being sued for sexual violations with a lady suing him for some sexual assault stuff and rape. So he was a controversial figure before he started talking.
What school was this?
University of Arizona.
Who's in charge of that? Come on.
So he was controversial. But that poor lady who was at the University of Florida.
She handled it well, though. I think she said, "Ooh, I've touched on a hot button. I hit a hot button.
Yeah.
I hear you." She was like, "I hear you.
Yeah.
May I continue?"
Right.
And then...
Meanwhile, Eric Schmidt did not read the room at all. He just doubled down.
Well, I don't,
he kept coming over the top, that guy.
It sounds like that was a bad pick for a couple of reasons. Yes. I mean, come on. But who do we get at this late hour now that he's been anyone else?
Bill Cosby? Oh, wait, no. That would have been a bad one, too. You
get literally anyone else. It's interesting to me. I know a lot of people are afraid of public speaking, but I'm always amazed at, we go to a lot of events and different things, and I'm always amazed at the lack of charisma.
Right.
With presenters.
Right.
And I find myself often saying, they don't have one single person in the entire organization that had a little pizzazz that could have put a little whoop on that. You know what I mean? What?
Meanwhile, there was a commencement at LSU last week. Shaquille O'Neal got his master's degree.
Yeah, I saw that.
And when they announced his name, he had the announcer say Shaquille Charles Barkley O'Neal to pick.
No, he said Shaquille, I hate Charles Barkley O'Neal.
Right, and they're friends. But he did it to be funny.
And then in his speech, he talked about, I don't know what this world is, what's going on in this world. Charles Barkley was fat one day, is skinny the next. I mean, he just ripped on him the whole time.
And they are friends, so he was trying to be funny.
Nobody booed
Shaquille.
No.
You can't boo a Shaq attack.
You can't those kind of events, any kind of event that this is free advice for anybody putting on an event. People should walk away, at least from your keynote speaker, feeling inspired,
right,
excited, empowered in some way.
Right. The everyday users of AI probably were inspired a little bit by that guy's speech.
Well, there you go.
But the people that don't were not. That's funny. We have about a minute left in the show. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Wait, I don't know.
We hit it hard.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to mention, because we mentioned it a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, I think we talked about that listing that we have in Benton City. They cut that price by $18,000 over the weekend. So if you're looking for a starter home, or maybe you're looking to downsize someplace a little quieter, a little more space, 1324 14th Street, Benton City would be a great place to do that.
Don't sleep on it, especially if you have a need.
Yep.
For Londa, Joanne, Sherwood, Austin, the prettiest girl in the world, my name's David Austin, and this has been another edition of The Session with Londa and David. We'll be right back here again next week, AI and all.